Hello and welcome. It's Sharon here from Mumsy Warrior, and the date is the 23rd of March 2022. And here's my complaint to the government. I know two wonderful Welsh people that are in government services. One's an MP and one's a councillor, and I admire them greatly because they do serve the people. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people in government services that do not. I've got a video on my Mumsy Warrior YouTube channel called Student Prostitution, Stop It. And there I've got a complaint about my old male MP who believed student girls are old enough to be prostitutes. This was when I complained about a lottery magazine promoting student prostitution in our children's reading section in the library. And I was horrified. I mean, as a mother, as a woman, how dare some men in government believe that we are objects for sale, that our children are objects for sale to be used and abused by dirty, filthy men. No, I'm not standing for this, and no, I'm not going to be gagged. A prostitute in the UK is from the age of 16 upwards. 16 years old is a child. The brain does not mentally or physically develop until the age of 20 to 25 years old. That's been proved by science. So anyway, a 16-year-old can act as a prostitute to get an education. However, my daughter cannot go and get a drink at the bar. She's 19 years old. This is after a concert, after she played the cello, after she played the classical guitar, and after she sang her lockdown song with an orchestra. My 19-year-old daughter could not go to a bar and buy a drink because her face was not filled with heavy makeup to make her look older than she is, even though she's 19. And she wasn't dressed like a hooker, wearing hardly any clothes. If she was dressed like a hooker, they would have served her. Of course they would. So I'm complaining. I've sent this complaint to my MP, and I'm sending this complaint to YouTube, the internet, the government, the police, all government services, and all parents and grandparents. I want my daughter to have a free ID because she deserves it, and so do all the homeless people on the streets. They deserve a free ID because IDs, the passports, the driving licenses are all money-making scams. You don't need one of these to prove your ID. I had a birth certificate and a national insurance number to prove who I was back in the 80s, and that was good enough, and it's good enough for me today. Thank you very much. Hello and welcome. It's Sharon here from Butterfly Lullaby, and the date is the 14th of March 2022. Digital ID complaint. If I cannot even claim child benefit for our daughter who is still studying because I do not have the luxury of having a passport or driving license, then how are other families suffering that are on low wages and selfish flexi-time hours? Elites cannot discriminate. Sharon J. Bainbridge. Growing up in the UK as a working class person is quite an eye-opener, really. The discrimination, the brick walls that prevent people from getting up the ladder. Education is one of the biggest ones. You know, all these, you need these qualifications to do this, that and the other. You know, in my day, we got paid £25 a week to go to art college and study graphic design. And that was free, thanks to the taxpayer, thanks to Margaret Thatcher, who was the Prime Minister at the time. Today, it is beyond belief because students are being brainwashed into taking up seriously dangerous jobs that put them at risk, and it's immoral, and it's being promoted by Sky News, BBC, GB News, the media, as something good, which is really quite disturbing as a mother. I don't know what parent would want their child to get into that sort of work, and I think you sort of know what sort of work I'm talking about, just to get an education, to pay for their education. I've got more information on this on my Mumsy Warrior YouTube channel. You can check that out. If you put in student, it'll come up with the rest of that. I just cannot believe this is the world that I grew up in. It is just, it's going from one extreme to the other. Digital ID. I mean, growing up, all I needed was a birth certificate and a national insurance to prove who I was. Now they're going to the real extreme, and I have to question why. Why do they want this? Years ago, I did some research on the homeless and the fact that they couldn't claim benefits because they don't have anywhere to live. That's how insane the UK is. And I put a link to my blog so you can check that out. But also, they're trying to do away with cash. Now, cash is something that the homeless need to survive. So that is really selfish. Struggling musicians and singers that perform on the streets, they all rely on cash. So to take cash away from them is just extreme and narcissist, I think. I would say that's narcissist behaviour. I remember not being able to afford to have a mobile phone and not being able to find a payphone anywhere. I grew up with payphones back in the 80s, and the fact that they've got rid of all the payphones is so selfish, assuming that everybody can afford a mobile phone. But that's just the same as this digital ID complaint, isn't it? They're always charging everybody for all this stuff, and there's always a hidden agenda behind it. Why do they want this digital ID? What are they going to be using it for? Because online is a disgrace. I've complained to my MP about certain things online, and thankfully I have a very good female MP that has actually got some stuff taken off the internet for me. It's not child and family friendly, because that's the problem, isn't it? The internet is not child and family friendly, and they allow people to destroy other people's businesses, and it's just wrong. Everything is just wrong, and it needs sorting out. I've been watching a Russell Brand video, which I've added to my blog, which is also questioning the digital ID problem. I've been doing some research on Ukraine and the problem they've got over there. It's just frightening for children and women in that country, and the fact that this war is causing more poverty for them and more problems. And the thing that I'm really concerned about is how this digital ID will make it easier for bad things to happen to children and women. That's my biggest concern, and that's something I'd like to talk to my MP about. People need to write to their MP, their government MP, and complain, and they need to send me their letters so that we know who are the good MPs and who are the bad ones, because the bad ones need to be sacked. So that's all from me, Sharon J. Bainbridge from Butterfly Lullaby, and I hope you'll leave me comments below and let me know your thoughts on this.